Éleuthère Irénée du Pont de Nemours, known as Irénée du Pont, or E.I.du Pont, was a French-American chemist and industrialist who founded the gunpowder manufacturer E.I.du Pont de Nemours and Company. His descendants, the Du Pont family, have been one of America's richest and most prominent families since the 19th century, with generations of influential businessmen, politicians and philanthropists. Early life and family. Du Pont was born the 24th of June 1771 in Paris, the son of Pierre Samuel du Pont de Nemours and Nicole Charlotte Marie Louise Irénée de Rencourt. His father was a political economist who had been elevated to the nobility in 1784 by letters patent granted by King Louis XVI, allowing him to carry the Honorable de Nemours suffix. Growing up on his father's estate, Bois des Fossés, near Aigreville, young Du Pont was enthusiastic about his studies in most subjects, and showed particular interest in explosives. Du Pont married Sophie Dalmas in 1791, and they had 8 children. Du Pont sailed before his family and landed at Rhode Island on the 1st of January 1800, along with his father and his brother's family. By 1802, he had established both his business and his family home, Eleuthère Mills, on the Brandywine Creek in Delaware. The 1st of January is the anniversary of the arrival of the Du Pont family in America, and this date is still celebrated by its descendants. Career in France. In the fall of 1785, Du Pont entered the Collège Royal in Paris. 2 years later, he was accepted by the friend of his father and noted chemist Antoine Lavoisier as a student in the R.E.G.I.E. des powders, the government agency responsible for the manufacture of gunpowder. It was from Lavoisier that he gained his expertise in nitrate extraction and manufacture. He studied advanced explosives production techniques. After a brief apprenticeship, he took a position at the government powder works in Essonnes but quit after Lavoisier left. In 1791, Du Pont began to help his father manage the small publishing house in Paris, where they published a Republican newspaper in support of governmental reforms in France. Despite being a soft-spoken chemist, he also had a strong sense of social order. Du Pont was a member of the pro-revolution National Guard and supported the Jacobins. However, on the 20th of August 1792, both Du Pont and his father participated in protecting the escape of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette when the Tuileries Palace was stormed. His father riled up fellow revolutionaries by refusing to go along with the guillotine execution of Louis XVI, and the two men's moderate political views proved to be a liability in revolutionary France. His father was arrested in 1794, only avoiding execution because of the end of the Reign of Terror. In September 1797, Du Pont and his father spent a night in La Force prison while the home and presses were ransacked. These events led his father to lose hope in the political situation in France, and so he began making plans to move the family to America and aspired to create a model community of French émigrés. On the 2nd of October 1799, the Du Pont family sold the publishing house and set sail for the United States. They reached Rhode Island on the 1st of January 1800 and began to settle in the home the eldest Du Pont had secured in Bergen Point, New Jersey. They soon set up an office in New York City to decide what the new line of business would be. But ironically mild-mannered and introverted Eleuthère Irénée was not included in much of these plans. However, he would soon begin to realize the possibilities that his childhood apprenticeship with Lavoisier would allow him and his family in America. E.I.du Pont de Nemours and Company. Du Pont had no thought of becoming involved with gunpowder manufacture again upon his arrival in the United States, but he brought with him an expertise in chemistry and gunpowder making, during a time when the quality of American-made gunpowder was very poor. Delaware legend holds that he decided to go into the gunpowder business during a fateful hunting trip with Major Louis de Touzet, a former French artillery officer then employed by the United States Army to procure gunpowder supplies. Du Pont's gun misfired as he attempted to shoot a bird, which caused him to reflect on his powder-making apprenticeship with Lavoisier as a youth in France. Du Pont commented on the inferior quality of the American-made powder they were using for hunting despite its high price. At his request, Touzet arranged a tour of an American powder plant. He quickly deduced that the saltpeter being used was of good enough quality. However, the American refining process was poor and inefficient compared with the techniques he had learned in France. He began to think that he could use his experience from France to manufacture gunpowder of a higher quality in the United States and reform the current industry standard for a refinery. With his father's blessing, he began to assemble capital for the construction of the first powder mills, and returned to France in the beginning of 1801 to procure the necessary financing and equipment. The Act of Association was signed on the 21st of April 1801, and the company was christened E.I.du Pont de Nemours and Amp Company since it was its namesake's ingenuity that had created this venture. His gunpowder company was capitalized at $36,000 with 18 shares at $2,000 each. He purchased a site on Brandywine Creek for $6,740. There were several small buildings and a dam with foundations for a cotton spinning mill which had been destroyed by fire. The first gunpowder was produced in April 1804. Death. Du Pont died on the 31st of October 1834 in Philadelphia. The cause of death was unspecified, due to conflicting reports of either cholera or a heart attack. Quote, he was buried in the Du Pont de Nemours cemetery on the family property in Wilmington. Legacy. The company he founded would become one of the largest and most successful American corporations. By the mid-19th century it was the largest supplier of gunpowder to the U.S. military, and supplied as much as 40% of the powder used by the Union Army forces during the Civil War. His sons, Alfred V. Du Pont and Henry Du Pont, managed the plant after his death, assisted by his son-in-law, Antoine Biedermann. His grandson, Lambert Du Pont I, was the first president of the United States Gunpowder Trade Association, popularly known as the Powder Trust.